All right, well, we're done talking about the stars, Zach. We're talking about the
Oh,
duds now, okay? I will let you do the honors. There's a couple different duds I think you could go with. I'll let you do the honors with your first dud.
can I just have to start with Mike Loxley because I'm like a Mike Loxley hater. I'm not
Him
really
in Minnesota, man. You are the haters of Maryland and Minnesota.
okay. So I'm not gonna go to a soapbox. I'll just keep it short. I hate it when people get propped up and say like, "Oh, they're so great," when they constantly like fail you. Right? So like PJ Fleck, he went out and got this new quarterback, and then he doesn't use him in the first game. And then like Mike Loxley, it's like, oh, 50-7. You have supposedly one of the worst teams in the Big Ten coming to you at home. You should be able to win this game. Nope, you stink it up. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of the conversation of him being this great coach that's gonna level up. Then they never do. It's stuff like this. They lost to Northwestern last year. Now they lose to Michigan State. That's no offense to Michigan State, but they're like, when are you going to level up like everybody says you're going to?
Yeah, I mean they should be at the point now where they should be able to take care of a brand new coach at Michigan State. And I don't know, I mean no disrespect to Jonathan Smith. It's just he's brand new and this team
Yeah.
is not a super talented team right now. But all credit to Jonathan Smith. He's doing something with the team even though it's not the most talented team in the world. Philip, I so glad you brought this up. Mike Loxley being affected by the Willard. If you don't know the basketball show, we are not fans of Kevin Willard over there. So
Ah,
he's basically a dud every week for us. Even when he didn't do anything, he's a dud. So yeah, you're preaching to Philip there with the Mike Loxley. Bugsy Daddy, I am glad that just a funny name. I am glad that you brought it up because that was going to be my thing here. Michigan's quarterback room. Not just Michigan's quarterback room, but the way that they are trying to use this room and the uncertainty with everything that's going on right now. They should have gone into the transfer portal. It felt like they were confident in Alex Orji, and then as camp went on and as things progressed, they had less and less and less confidence with him. Where it sounds like Davis Warren won the quarterback job a week before their first game, which like I don't know how that happens. You have an entire spring, you have an entire summer with these guys, and I know they can't be out there like practicing on the field with a football, but you know, like they do a lot of other things. Sometimes I'm not saying Michigan does it, but a lot of teams don't always follow the rules. Welcome to college football. This is the way things operate, but like it, you should not have been making this decision a week before. You should have known what you had with Alex Orji. Honestly, you should have known what you had with Alex Orji at the end of last year. And Sharon Moore, I mean, he's a brand new coach. This is a mistake that he's making. And unfortunately for him, he has hired an offensive coordinator that failed at Old Dominion, and he's hired a defensive coordinator who has failed in the NFL. Both of them have failed in their previous stops, and it looks like unfortunately they're not doing so hot now. And I feel pretty confident in saying that because I've seen Michigan fans saying it all over the place. So I don't think I'm being too critical here as a Buckeye fan. I think I am sharing the criticism that many other people who are Michigan fans have, which is that this coaching staff is just not very good and they don't know what to do right now. Could it get better? Not saying that they're like bad for good, but at least for right now, they are not doing very well, and the quarterback room is a huge example of that. Do you want to comment on that, Zach, or do you want to give your
I
next one?
agree with every point, and I'll add a Michigan guy as Colston Loveland.
That fumble was awful.
Yeah, I mean, he's on there specifically for that because I felt like that play ended the game essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Ended
was
any hope they had. I mean, I
yeah,
think the
ended
game was
hope.
probably over, but I think
Yeah,
Michigan fans still had a little bit of hope. But you're right, ended their
yeah,
hope.
yeah. I mean, and the guy you are depending on, the one proven receiver, tight end, and like I mean, it's untouched, unforced. And I mean, he's a great player, like he really is. But
Super athletic
yeah,
and great sized. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that out of all the Michigan stars, he was actually the one that I was maybe most disappointed in, and that's saying something because I thought all the Michigan stars, none of them came out to play.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. All right, Zach, we're left with a dilemma here. Maybe you could say both, but I'm going to force you to pick one of them.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Sean says Iowa DC, Tim Lester. Dave says Iowa's quarterback sucked. Who who is the bigger dud this week? Tim Lester or Cade McNamara?
See, I'll go differently here, and I'll say Kirk Ferentz
Oh,
because I thought Tim Lester called a heck of a game in the second half of the first week, and I feel like Kirk Ferentz handcuffed him.
couldn't have said it better myself, Eric. Without him, they scored. I think they scored 40. Was it 44? I thought
40
it was
is
40.
40.
Okay, 40 points. Is that
Yeah.
Eric? You're too sick. Go to bed. I'm just kidding. Wait till the show's over. Uh, go ahead, though, Zach. Just giving Eric.
Well,
A hard
no, I
time.
mean, I think the reality is why is Cade McNamara in this position in the first place? Well, because Kirk Ferentz put him there. And like he is not good enough. He even said it in his post-game presser. That's his problem. So is Tim Lester to blame for part of it? Sure. But it's Kirk. It's and I think we're seeing that it's been Kirk, right? Like Brian Ferentz was the scapegoat a year ago. He's obviously was not very good. I'm not sure Maryland wants him there after last week. But Kirk Ferentz is not exactly. It's time for him to either evolve or go.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because I love Kirk.
No, I think Kirk has done so many good things for Iowa. Unfortunately for them, at this point, it's just you have to move on from Kirk. And for me, it feels a little bit like Bo Pelini, not exactly Bo Pelini for Nebraska, but like it's not good enough, but it should
Mhm.
be good enough. But you know it's never going to be good enough with him. And so you
Yep.
have to move on. It's something that's hard to do because if you do move on like Nebraska did and you don't
Yep.
win without him, you're gonna get clowned for it for a
Yeah.
long time. You say, "Oh, Bo Pelini wasn't good enough for you. You had to
Yeah.
move on from him." But Kirk Ferentz, unfortunately, I mean, he's getting up there in age, and it looks like this is what it's come to, and I hate that for him because he's had a long career. It's been good, but if he ends his career with an Iowa team that's 6-6, 7-5, it's gonna be sad. Which I can't say that's not on the table after seeing them fall apart against Iowa State.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, I mean, I could see them being trigger happy or shy to pull the trigger because of what's going on at Wisconsin right now.
Yep.
Like, I mean, they fired Paul Chryst, who had been a successful coach there, but he was getting stale. You know, you've got to if you're gonna do it, you got to know who you want to target. And I think that might be the one thing that holds them back from making the decision when they need to.
Yep.
Um, so
I agree.
maybe you go Lance Leipold, or maybe you go. And I don't know if Lance Leipold takes that job.
He
But
seems happy at Kansas. I don't think he would.
yeah,
So. All right, let's do one more dud each, and then we'll move on to some playoff discussion. We're at an hour now. We were going to try to keep it under an hour, but you know how Zach and I are. We talk a lot.
we
So,
talk.
all right, my next dud, just Dan Lanning at Oregon.
Yeah,
Dude, what are you doing? You,
yeah,
you should not be in a fight, which I know this was last week. You shouldn't be in a fight with Idaho. You should not need to, like, I just gave Noah Whittington and Tez Johnson their credit for the special
yep,
team plays, getting the returns, because I believe they deserve credit for that. I don't think that Dan Lanning gets credit for having to have, two special teams touchdowns to beat Boise State. If
yep,
you are a national championship contender, like people thought you were, you don't need 2 touchdowns on special teams to beat Boise State. And I say
yeah,
that with all the respect to Boise State in the world, because like you said, Boise State very well could be in the playoffs. If you are an 11 seed or not even a playoff team, this makes sense, which is what it looks like right now. But if you are a national championship contender, somebody that people are saying is going to win the Big Ten, it should not be that way. So,
yep.
all right, Zach, who is your final dud for us?
It's in between Zach Lujan and Mike Wright. But
Mm.
I'll go with Mike Wright.
Negative QBR this week.
Yeah, like Zach Lujan made a terrible decision situationally.
Yeah.
But the reason why he had to make that decision is because Mike Wright I mean, he really torpedoed the Wildcats this past week. And I mean, they're lucky that they even got to overtime because I think there were 3 dropped interceptions that he threw, and it could have been a blowout.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if he makes a couple different decisions and makes a couple different plays, that they win in regulation.
Yeah.
Like I thought their front 7 controlled Duke's running game. It's kind of weird how similar that game mirrored the Iowa State game in so many ways. But I think that Mike Wright would be my dud.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. Like I said, negative QBR this week, -1. That's the first time I've ever seen a negative QBR.
Yeah, it's ugly.
And I pay attention to QB.